we are back to Nigeria now. I mean, we've been in Nigeria, but yeah, back to Nigeria, and your minister or ministry of communications, digital innovation has launched a large language model. So first of all,
large language learning model.
Yes. We've established on the podcast that AI, electricity, we can all work towards making sure that all of them are successful. Yeah. So we are not going to have that conversation. But what we are going to have is looking at first, why was this announced? So earlier we were talking about it, and okay, so let it not be like we are chanting the government, right?
Okay.
But it looks like this is still in developmental phases. Nothing much has been done. It's basically a proposal. You've told me you want to get married to me, and that's just it. You haven't come to see my parents. You haven't done any serious thing, right? You've not set a date to see my parents. It's just, as someone said, it's word of knowledge. You've told me that this is what you want to do, right? So Nigeria has launched it. But I guess first question would be, what does this mean for Nigeria? Why should we? Why is this worth celebrating by those who are celebrating it? First of all, so Rosemond, do you want to take a shot?
I will. Very interesting. So first of all, as much as I would like to tally with you in relation to not with hunting,
okay.
The truth is, artificial intelligence is something that no continent can escape. And what we're trying to do, or what I see the minister trying to do, is to put Nigeria on the map when it comes to our own thing.
Yeah.
The essence of the LLM in quotes is because of the need for more indigenous representation of language, because language is a tool. It's a tool to communicate. It's where you can encapsulate history. It's how you can teach and all that, right? Looking through some of the things that was shared, the vision and everything behind it, it's the fact that the objective in itself is to allow for more representation of Nigeria's indigenous tribes, languages, and cultures in building artificial intelligence-based products.
Yeah.
Right? So, even though they call it a launch, you will say usually the word launch happens when something is finished.
Exactly.
But what we have here is a launch for something that is just starting, or that is in the pipeline, or is ongoing, right? Because what we can see is that the LLM model is actually supposed to be a couple of people, as many people as possible, come in there, put in their words, their language in different translations into different languages, which I believe will be mined and used as a large data repository using machine learning, deep learning, and the likes to now create whatever services that needs to be done. Typically, let me give I'm not a core tech code developer, but I can say the reason why Google Map can have our tone in talking to us giving us directions is because somebody took that data, used our tone of words, and used that to be able to give us the same instructions that a Caucasian is saying behind Google Map. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So Nigeria is just trying to do its own thing, which I would say is a good step in the right direction, but we need to not place the cart before the horse. We have legislations to think about, we have AI policies to think about, we have data protection and a couple of things that go around using AI in an ethical and sustainable manner to think about. But for me, it's a good one, and I just feel that we can be a bit more strategic about it. That's what
that's a diplomatic way to say that you should not be launching something that you've not finished. But we are going to come back to data privacy, because we're talking about data privacy and this whole AI LLM earlier. I guess, Bulu, why is the government spearheading the building of a large language learning model for the country and not a startup or maybe any technology company?
Okay, so one of the reasons why they just concluded the AI workshop, right, in Abuja, and one of the reasons why our Bosun Tijani has been very hard on AI is because there's a huge gap when it comes to AI, right, in Nigeria and Africa generally, right? Which means, one, we don't even have enough AI startups to begin with. Two, we don't even have enough AI professionals, right? People who are trained to actually build these products, right? So it is expected that the government will play a part in creating this LLM, right? But then they are actually private. They've partnered with some private companies to do this. There's a company called
Awari.
Awari,
Yeah.
that they've partnered with to for data collection, basically. So there's a platform where you go, you record your voice, you record your local language, translate to English, write text, do all those things, right? So I get why they are doing this in partnership with the government, because we don't have those startups that are there yet that can just do this on if it's, for example, something fintech related.
Let me pause you there or interrupt you. Yes, we do not have a lot of startups doing this, but it's not like your government itself has this 20-year-old AI research center that they've been running. We do not have something like that. So I am still not sold on why the government is involved. So here's the thing, right?
Okay.
We hear that some money has been, like, they've gotten some funding for this, about $3.5 million, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, in funding for this. You could have directed that funding to a startup or to a company where you have some oversight.
Okay.
You could be one of the investors.
Okay.
You could sit on the board and have them like give you periodic updates on what's happening. And the reason I say this is governments are not exactly innovators. In fact, they're not even. I mean,
you're right.
I'm being nice by saying that they are not exactly. They are not innovators, right? And I see a situation where 2 years from now, we are still going to be struggling with. In short, we will not have moved the needle because it's not. There's no profit incentive really for the government, and once there's no profit incentive, the only thing that governments are very good at is taxation, to be honest, right? And without that profit incentive, why should they bother? How do they even convince users, for example, to submit their data? Which is the next thing we'll talk about. Like, how do you convince a user to submit your data? How do you ensure that you're getting the best hands? Which is very important here. How do you ensure that you're getting the best hands for this? Because like you mentioned, there's a dearth of AI professionals in Nigeria. And now a government that does not exactly have an AI footprint is leading this kidney. And yes, of course, we have some partners, UNESCO, Meta, Google, Microsoft. But for some reason, there's just a whole lot of foreign involvement for a country that wants to build their indigenous AI language model. You have a lot of foreign investment. And I don't know, there are so many questions that the government probably needs to answer or reconsider. But let's talk about data privacy. Earlier, we were trying to log into the system, and Rosemond has refused to input her details.
I have refused, please.
So there are a lot of lapses. So first of all, when you look at when you try to log in, or when you try to sign up, just click on terms and the terms and conditions or service policy here. Click on it and you see some very, very interesting things. It just looks like the terms was probably generated by ChatGPT or copied from an existing company. I don't know. I probably would run it on the internet and see if I get a match. But it looks like it was copied from one place and just pasted. I don't know how that makes me feel, because first of all, it makes me feel like an unserious person, because if you just duplicate Spotify's terms and conditions and you put it, so some of the things you see, let me open that thing.
Oh my God.
So don't worry, they won't show it on the screen, but I'll just show you some of the things you would see. So terms of use, look at under privacy. Okay, now let's start with intellectual property. All content, including but not limited to text, images, all of that, is the property of company name or its licensors. When I look at the website, there's something called Lang Easy here, powered by Awari. So why is Lang Easy or Awari not here? Privacy. Company name respects the privacy of its users. Who in the world is company name? When you come to governing law, these terms of use shall be governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of jurisdiction, without regard to its conflict of law provisions. Who is jurisdiction? Contact information. You get the point now. The last time I know we had a conversation like this was the the coup. Is it coup that they call themselves? That upstart that said it wanted to take on Twitter.
Yes.
It was a similar situation. They had shitty terms of use on their website. But that aside, why? What are your thoughts on the lack of appropriate or the lack of attention being paid to data privacy? Because this is just what it shows me that you're not very serious about data privacy.
No, I feel bad for putting on my data.
You put your data.
Well, I mean, to register.
I know that's not serious data. Now you register on things every day.
So this is, to be honest, it's really like, but I have no words, right? Because if you are doing something, and honestly, I really want to be the good person here, and I'm being this because.
Don't worry, you're free to be the bad person.
No, honestly, because it takes a lot to even get here, right? It takes a lot, especially for a regulator to get here. Now, what we can do, and I think what we are really, really doing as a private sector, is to put a lot of pressure. For data privacy, this is a very important part because people are going to be putting their voices on this platform. It's possibly going to be reposited somewhere in some cloud, somewhere. I need to know where my data is being stored.
Yeah.
I need to have the ability to have access to recollection or deletion. If there's going to be some sort of measures as regards data anonymization or pseudonymization, whatever it is, right? I need to be confident enough that my voice is not going to be used one day, right, to call my uncle to say that I need money for $1 million in surgery, and I know that my voice is not going to be used because it's voice, right? And because AI is evolving so rapidly, I sense that this is the time where regulators have to run to catch up, right? And I can say for a fact that some ethical considerations also will be in terms of the capacity to even use this. Do we have age limits here? Do we have restrictions as regards the terms of use? Do we have the data portability? What does it look like? We need to understand what the end-to-end use of this data looks like from the government's perspective. And it's even sadder that we have the NITDA, which is actually a regulator on this project, and we are seeing some of these lapses. So I believe that if they are listening to this, it's something that they have to keep looking at, because this is the essence, this is the output or the fruit of the data workshop, the AI workshop, right? I believe so.
Yes, it is.
And there was an inauguration of the National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, which just launched. So while I commend greatly that it is a good start, we need to do something well. Anything we're doing well. Yeah. And if we are playing in such an interesting field like artificial intelligence, we have to bring our best mind. We cannot be what's the word? We cannot be flippant about some very critical things so that we don't allow our good spoken off.
Exactly.
That's what I would say.
Someone said, concerning that audio and video stuff, someone said it's all fun and games, right? You stand in a court and they play play an audio of your voice.
I mean, so
are you telling me you didn't say this?
So just yesterday, like there was this I saw this ad of a customer service AI product.
I saw that too.
Right now, it can do a lot of things. Customer service, sales, I think, and a few other things. That's to show you how rapidly this thing is evolving. And crazy. If you do not, which is why I get why he's bullish on all of this, but you also need to have like guardrails, proper guardrails. And now, considering that NIDA is involved in this, and this turned out this way, I'm just wondering how is our data managed? Like for either startups, for example, that have to collect data, businesses that have to collect data, right? How is our data current? Like, what's NIDA doing to ensure that these businesses are actually collecting, storing, and using the data within the confines of what they've stated that they'll be doing? Because until trouble starts, we probably would never find out. So it's one more reason for us to question NIDA's handling of that ministry, really. To listen to the full episode of this podcast, visit podcast.techpoint.africa or search for Techpoint Africa Podcast on your favorite podcast platforms.